coming! Please! You're the owner! You're already here!
Where is she?
Don't tell him where she is.
There's no missing body.
No,
That's right.
There is a missing
there is
body,
no
and he's taking it away.
No.
You heard it up top. We go from podcasters to pod people as we discuss the paranoia, horror, thriller, invasion of the Body Snatchers here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Pod Jacob. Pod Colin.
You're Pod Jacob.
You're taking over Jacob? I'm just going to be Pod Mike. I'll take over myself.
And this is Pod Colin.
Oh,
That's not my body. This is my body.
I've
That's
got a
my other
runny
body.
nose.
It's got white
Yes.
hair all over it.
I'm regretting that I have a very 70s suit jacket that I did not wear for the YouTube viewers. So, anyway.
You could worn your best Donald Sutherland.
There is
Yes.
some fashion choices in this.
A lot.
Mike, all of us should have shaved down to a mustache for this episode.
True. Nothing but the stash. Or 6 sideburns, one or the other. Yeah, if you're Leonard Nimoy.
That's right.
But yeah, we're out here snatching
Invasion of the Body
Jacob,
Snatchers.
Your choice, right?
Yes. This was my choice. We're going back to 1978. 3 years before the little American werewolf goes over to London. London town. And we're over here in San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a remake or a reimagining, like Planet of the Apes 2001, of a 1956 sci-fi classic, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And this is, that was directed by Don Siegel. This one's directed by Philip Kaufman, a director that you might not be that familiar with. He's not really, sort of like John Landis, he's not a big horror guy.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot of horror. Like his filmography is a lot of like, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, Henry and June, a lot of movies I haven't seen.
Rising Sun, a bad Wesley Snipes action movie with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with much of his catalog.
I guess let me ask you guys, how familiar are you with this film? Is this your first time seeing it and all that stuff? What do you think?
I mean, for me, I think I mentioned it last time. Like, I had never seen this or the original. I was aware that the original is kind of like an allegory for communism and like the Red Scare and stuff of like, everybody around you is gonna, change and become this whole thing. But
That's right, the pod people.
That's right.
right. But I knew kind of just about both of those movies, and this was a remake, but I'd never seen it. I know that people liked it, but I was excited to check it out for the first time, and we'll talk about it.
Well, Mike, I'll say my history with it is that exact reasoning, is that I was in a social studies class in 5th grade, and our teacher, Mr. Jarvis, said to us, for extra credit, you can watch a movie. And that's when I would like dial in and be like, oh my God, I'm
Right.
finally not going to get a C in this class. I'll pull up here.
Yes.
And the options were the Howard Hawks The Thing, the Don Siegel Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then very oddly, Dr. No, the first James Bond film, which I was, I don't understand that. I brought that paper home to my dad and was like, well, out of all of these, what would you suggest? And he's like, we'll be renting all 3 of these. And we did end up watching all of them. We watched this one, and then he said, you know what? There's a much better version in the 70s. We're going to watch that too. And I was, we'll talk about it, very affected by the ending of this movie in particular.
Oh, sure. That's awesome, though. You're getting,
That's cool.
a film education at a young age.
Yeah.
I would think that as a 5th grader, any of those 3 options I would not have liked in 5th grade, to be honest. Those movies from the 50s and 60s, probably not holding my attention at that age.
No.
Right. Maybe
But how
Dr.
about
No
you,
would have
Jake?
the highest chance, but yeah, Jake.
But I even remember our teacher being like, in Dr. No, I'm being pretty loose on there. And my dad even being like, well, what's the communist side of this? It's like Dr. No himself is like half Chinese, I think. And he was like, I guess that's what it is.
So they
Yeah,
were
that's a
all
bit of a
Red
stretch.
Scare type
Yeah.
anti-communist movies, which was, of course, big in the 50s. and you know, into the
yeah,
exactly, McCarthyism, HUAC, all that good stuff.
good stuff, yeah.
And yeah, that's what the 50s one was definitely about, is this idea that the communists were going to turn us all into pod people and we were all going to have no emotions and be the same and stuff. And
This
you can see that in a lot
culture.
of a lot of media, you know, like the Borg, I think were originally supposed to be Soviet Russia and stuff. Yeah, so the very popular thing for many years during the Cold War.
But Jacob, it's Spooktober.
Yes.
What inspired you to pick this film for your choice of Spooktober? What's your history?
Well, that's a great question. I actually watched this movie for the first time earlier this year, back a couple months ago, maybe May or April. And I had never seen it, but you know, sadly, Donald Sutherland, the star of this movie, passed away earlier this year. And so I was like, I want to watch a Donald Sutherland movie. So I was like, either this or, you know, Don't Look Now, another movie, another horror movie that he's in, or a sort of a thriller, which I have seen before. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I haven't seen this one. It's on streaming. Let me give it a chance. And I ended up loving it so much that I was like, you know what? I think I found my Spooktober pick for this year.
Good pick.
We're going to run it back. No, that's great.
Absolutely. If I can tell you a little bit about Philip Kaufman again, like I said, not a big horror guy, but in the 70s, he was friends with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and those guys. He has a story credit on Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is
not a bad gig.
Yeah, wow. A story that he came up with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So he's friends with those guys, and they're all these film school guys, right? And so they're watching these classic movies and stuff. So he has the idea to remake this classic 50s sci-fi horror and do a new spin on it, again, like Tim Burton, 2001, Planet of the Apes. And so this is sort of a reimagining. It's the same premise, but, you know, some details differ and the characters are different and that kind of thing. It's set in San Francisco. That's like a big part of the movie, I think. And it's kind of going away from the threat of communism and more about the sort of the 70s, you know, psychotherapy, like psychoanalysis and stuff was becoming a big thing, psychiatry. That's kind of where the Leonard Nimoy character comes in, which we'll talk about. But this sort of this idea of therapy was a big thing, and how, you know, the family unit was getting broken down because people were getting all these new ideas.
Marriages aren't lasting anymore.
Right.
All right, Spock, relax.
So I'm excited to talk about all that.
I have and always shall be your husband. Yeah.
That's right.
That's great. It's such a good pairing with our last week episode because, Jacob, this is such a bleak movie. We're doing two back-to-back, what I would call very bleak, very upsetting films. But one last question I want to ask you guys.
Maybe another one too next week.
Absolutely.
Wow.
If you haven't seen the originals, what is your guys' relationship with the further sequels? Have you seen the 80s Body Snatchers, and have you seen the Daniel Craig 2000s Invasion?
No, I haven't seen any of those.
I haven't seen any of them, but my favorite version of this story was up until this point, The Faculty.
Sure.
So that's like the closest I got to it.
Also pretty good pod people. Yeah.
People getting replaced by an alien life form. There's a big conspiracy. Yeah, it's a sort of common trope, I think.
A universal tale.
This is kind of where it came from, I think.
So much.
Obviously.
This is obviously
a fear that I think a lot of
liked
people
one.
have. Yeah. This idea that everyone around you is somehow different and in on this conspiracy, and you're the only individual, right? It's kind of a common thing.
I'd say that's gaining traction.
Yeah. Look, everyone around me is NPCs. I'm the main character, okay? That's what
I'm Donald.
There were two concepts I was thinking about a ton watching this that obviously I didn't when I watched this in 5th grade, is that the term gaslighting didn't exist. And then watching this movie post-COVID, where they're all like, could a disease really spread this quickly and affect the whole
social
world?
contagion.
You just have no idea. Like, you don't know what future's coming for you, Donald.
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, Spock, stop gaslighting me, Spock, okay?
Yeah, you motherfucker.
You're right.
But yeah, should we jump into it?
I would love to jump into it. Yeah, let's get in these pods, boys.
I don't want to jump into it,
flowers.
but this plant that's growing a piece of me does want to jump into it.
Don't let its little hairs touch you.
I'm gonna take a nap. See you on the other side.
We're back on Normies Like Us, where we are the same hosts we've always been. Of course, it is us. We're totally normal and
I
fine.
have no emotions.
In 1
Talking
hour,
invasion of the Body Snatchers.
yeah, you will want to like and subscribe to this podcast.
It doesn't hurt to like and subscribe. It feels good.
That's right. It's the same. It's how it's always been.
That's
yeah.
right.
Snatching bodies.
Yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Again, directed by Philip Kaufman. He was kind of an iconoclastic director, sort of a hippie in the 70s, as a lot of people were. And so he really wanted to set this in San Francisco, his home. And he thought, if it could happen here, it could happen anywhere, because he loves the city so much. And I think one reason why I like this movie is because the city is such a big part of it, and like it feels, it's so important to this movie. And also, I really love the cinematography, how this movie was shot. The weird angles. It's always, a lot of Dutch angles, weird low shots, things at the edge of the frame all the time, a lot of detail in the frame, a lot of texture. Yeah. And it gives you this sense of rising tension, right? The sense of paranoia at all times.
It is so intentional the way that it's shot, Doug. My favorite is Jeff Goldblum talking to Donald Sutherland while he's trying to make the phone call in the bookstore, and the mirror behind them showing a reflection.
Yeah, the
bubbles
distorted
of our
images.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a great, we've been talking about Tim Burton cinematography, about how unexciting that was. This is a very well shot movie.
Yeah, every frame is like specifically chosen. Like I said, a lot of weird Dutch angles, gives you a sense of tension. Doing a lot of cool things with shadows and light and stuff when they're running away at the end and stuff. There's a great shot where they run, their shadows reflected onto this building right in the background, and their shadows are huge, and you see them run around the corner, and it's this weird angled shot. Yeah. But the cinematographer of this movie, Michael Chapman, was a pretty good cinematographer in his day, who also shot Taxi Driver and Raging Bull for Scorsese. So he was really studying, and he was studying film noir movies in the 40s and 50s, black and white movies, and trying to replicate a lot of what they were doing, but with color. So that's like a big inspiration for him. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love the look of this movie. Well, first of all, I love this movie, Jacob. Thank you for suggesting it.
That's great. Yes,
to hear that.
I was hoping that you would like it.
Yeah, but on the note of how it's shot, like there's so much even like information happening in the background of shots, like background characters like staring at our main characters, but it's like subtle. There's never attention drawn to it. It's just there's this constant
so much
rising
detail
tension.
in the frames.
Yeah, exactly.
Work. Yeah,
extras always in the background. They're like looking at you and stuff, and you just feel this paranoia that Brooke Adams has.
Brooke Adams too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cast, right?
I like Brooke Adams.
Same.
Brooke Adams. She's great. I mainly know her also from a Cronenberg movie, The Dead Zone, which I know, Colin, you watched somewhat recently as well.
I'd only seen it last year, and I didn't recognize her watching this. The whole time, Jacob, I was like, I am in love with this actress. Who is she? And then when I looked up that she was the girl from The Dead Zone, I was like, that makes so much sense. She's amazing.
The Dead Zone. She was also in Days of Heaven, the Terrence Malick film. And a great actress, of course. We also have Donald Sutherland, right? The star, or one of the stars. And now this guy, I love, obviously, Donald Sutherland. I love Kiefer Sutherland, his son.
You'd love
Agent Jack Bauer.
Yeah, we need a remake with Jack Bauer. There's people being snatched up.
He would just solve it by the end of the movie. Like, it would be worked out, and you'd be like, good work, Kiefer.
He would do it, yeah.
But how do you guys feel about Donald Sutherland as an actor? Do you have any opinions about him?
I like him in this movie a lot. I haven't seen a ton of his work, honestly.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of Donald
Hunger
Sutherland.
Games.
Yep, haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's so weird that, of course, here's our connection. National Lampoon's Animal House.
Yes.
He has a good role in that.
Sure.
To our film last week. And then when we would watch The Dirty Dozen, my dad would be like, "That's Donald Sutherland." In my mind, I'd be like, "Who's Donald Sutherland?" But he always seemed like this guy who was there. And he's never been bad. Hunger Games obviously was kind of the huge career boost towards the end of his career.
Yes, a late career hit for him. He was the president of the dystopian future country. Yeah. But yeah, he was in a ton of stuff. I mean, over the many decades, and he's a very distinctive look. He was told a lot when he was younger that he was not a handsome person. He was not a good-looking or attractive person, and that really, I think, affected him because I was watching an interview with him where he started sort of choking up, remembering, his past, but he has such a distinguished and unique look. Like he has so much character that I do think he's a good-looking guy. He's just not a traditionally leading man.
He's interesting looking. He makes me feel like I could have been a movie star in the 70s.
Right. But I love him in this movie because he's like the picture of sophisticated masculinity of he's cooking and he's doing all this stuff. Having his coworker over who he's definitely not trying to sleep with, but
Invasion of the Booty Snatchers is where we're going.
Yeah. But I was thinking, I was watching him cooking this meal and everything. I was thinking of my friend Mike, who loves to cook and is a very sophisticated gentleman himself.
You do me too much honor.
Yeah, you reminded me a lot of you.
I will say some of the early horror in this was using metal utensils on a carbon steel wok. You wouldn't do that. But, the fact that he is cooking and he's making Chinese food and stuff in the 70s, it's that's pretty progressive for when this is going on.
And he's got his own place in San Francisco. He seems happy. He seems content. And I know
Working
we're saying
for the health department.
Yeah, he's after Brooke Adams. But really their relationship feels very brother-sister until he makes it apparent how much, when he realizes halfway through this movie, you are who I want to be with. And maybe he's trying to steal her away from her dumbass boyfriend, but he doesn't feel despicable. You know what I mean? He feels like such a good guy the whole time.
Yeah. My read of it, he is a good guy. And my read is kind of that he does kind of have a thing for her, but he's not going to make a move until
he's respectful of her relationship and supportive.
Yeah, he's not a villain.
He's just a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except very quick to push psychotherapy on people. It's bro, I don't want to see your therapist. You can relax.
That was kind of a big thing in the 70s. Like I'm saying, everyone starts going to therapists, learning more, talking about their feelings and what they're thinking in their brain, and mental health and stuff is becoming a big thing. And a lot of people, and I think this is the big thing, it's a lot of women realizing, oh, I don't have to stay in this toxic or abusive relationship anymore. I have options, and so it's sort of this awakening. And of course, a lot of, conservative men are against this because they want to be in control, right? And so they feel like they're losing control on society at large. So
this movie is maybe about trying to stop feminism, dog. There's so many scenes of men being like, just listen to me. What are you doing? Stop.
Right. And that's the whole thing with this Leonard Nimoy character where he's gaslighting these characters and be like, what do you mean you saw a body? What are you talking about? It's all in your head.
And it was alive.
Yeah. And of course the twist is that, he's one of them and he's sort of doing this on purpose. So it's all, and I think this was something that Philip Kaufman was really tapping into, this idea that, the conservative patriarchy is losing control on society.
Yeah. And and those themes are set up really early when we meet, her boyfriend. She comes home and he's got his headphones on watching basketball. And she's like, I'm really excited about my flower that I found. And he could not give two shits.
He's like, whatever. I'm watching the Warriors. We're making the playoffs.
He just wants to smooch. He doesn't care about her day.
Gonna be happy. The Warriors made the playoffs. Yeah. He is.
No, don't worry. I'll go downstairs if you're going to be watching your basketball. It's
maybe I'll put my headphones on. Come on.
Yeah, so you have this contrast of her boyfriend character with Donald Sutherland, the more sort of progressive, enlightened man. And of course, he works for the health department. We see him,
inspecting the restaurant. Yes.
Yeah, finding a rat turd in the soup.
Mike, are capers good? I don't know what a caper is.
A caper is like a little. It's a vegetable, I think, right? It's kind of like a pea or something.
Yeah, they're like little guys.
Like
but
peas,
I don't make a lot with capers in them, but they do look like rat turds. But I like this like
rat turds.
I do like this intro to Donald Sutherland though. He's like this hardball cop, but a health inspector. He's like, "You're not getting one over on
what
me."
is this?
The guy throwing the wine bottle at his windshield is so fucking good.
Which
Right, and
again,
the fact-
the cracked windshield contributes to this sense of unease where you're looking through when they're driving around later. You're looking
The
through this
rest of the
cracked
movie,
windshield.
and it's like never, it's not like he's like, by the way, this is the reason. Like when they watch that guy running the street, and we'll talk about that guy in a second, through the perspective of the split down the middle. I mean, again, Jacob, it's all so intentional.
The fractured frame. Yeah.
Oh man, and his job is in the public interest. You know, he works for the county. Like,
public
who's gonna
health,
know? It's because it's the right thing to do. Like
I'm a civil servant. He says that 1,000 times. I'm a civil servant. I help civilization.
Right.
Yes, it's just very clearly framed.
He's doing pretty well on a government salary too. He's got that, nice place in San Fran.
He's got a backyard.
Yeah. It's like up on,
it's a nice
elevated.
Night. Let's eat outside, he says. Watching this, all I was thinking was like, if I had a fucking place where I could eat outside, I'd eat every meal outside.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I will get my meal stolen.
I love it. I want to live in the San Francisco of this movie. I don't know if it's as nice now in 2024, but
I want that homeless guy playing the banjo, honestly. That sounds great. I'll turn into a little dog-headed guy at the end. That means nothing to me.
Right.
We gotta talk about that too. I also appreciate that this era of movie, there's something of like The Exorcist, Silence of the Lambs, and this, like, cinematographers were just like, telephoto lenses, right? Let's compress the space. But the compression adds to that claustrophobia and tension in this too.
Totally.
Everything's like so on top of you. It's a really smart choice.
Dude. God.
Yeah. I love the way this movie shot. Look. It's so good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to fully rewind? Not to take a break from the cast, but of course the first shot, foreign planet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
weird effects. Yeah.
Fish tank underwater.
The alien. We see the aliens at work, basically.
Spores.
These spores, and then that's our into the character of Brooke Adams as she finds this flower. She's like, oh, this is interesting. This is like some kind of rare flower I found. Takes it home, starts kind of studying it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of popping up everywhere as these parasites growing on other plants and stuff.
It's a gurk or whatever she calls
Grex,
it.
A
Grex.
But we get that, we go from space to the atmosphere of Earth to the skyline of, like, it zooms all the way into this localized event of the flower. Like, it takes us from space to local, like, really smart. Then we see like the weird priest. Like, you're already unsettled by somebody staring.
Robert
Duvall, who has no lines in this.
He just has a cameo where he's swinging on a swing as a priest in one shot. It's
you get
Robert
a POV
Duvall
on the swing.
It's
such a cool shot.
Yeah, and a lot of these shots in the opening, you're seeing all like different people in the crowd and stuff, and it's just slowly like acclimating you to the setting and stuff. It's so interesting.
Yeah, there's like, it lends itself to a rewatch. Like, I want to watch it again because there's so much in the background that I'm so much detail. I missed. Yeah. Like
the hobo playing the banjo, like you said. Fun fact: Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead did the banjo for this movie.
Oh,
so,
okay. Nice.
Yeah, the banjo playing is Jerry Garcia.
Whoa.
Nice. Deadheads.
Yeah.
Unite.
Also wanted to mention, Michael Chapman, cinematographer, obviously very well shot. Ben Burt, the famous sound designer who made a lot of the iconic Star Wars sounds, worked on this movie, just a year after he worked on Star Wars. And so all the great sounds in this movie, that's Ben Burt. And there's some really great sound design in this movie as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Creator of the lightsaber by walking past his TV with a microphone on accident. Yes. Like, the late great Ben Burton, his wife was pregnant for this, I read. And so he went to when they did like the scan or whatever, and he recorded the sounds of the baby in vitro and was using those for the pod noises.
Oh, sure.
That's so
the guy
interesting.
Is a
that
genius.
makes so much sense. Yes.
Yeah. Of course, the iconic screeching noise that the pod people make.
That's him as well.
So
we
just
love
really great
him.
sound design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of times the sound design is adding to that rising tension that you feel.
Mixed into the score too. Like, you don't know if it's a sound effect or a music thing sometimes. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So just a really well-made movie. And of course, so we've talked about Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams. We've also got a couple supporting characters, and this is where I was like, man, this movie has everything, because you've got our guy Spock, Leonard
Uh-huh.
Nimoy,
Yes.
and you've got a young, handsome Jeff Goldblum.
Super handsome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
one of his first movie roles. And then you have, of course, his wife Veronica Cartwright.
Alien.
From the movie Alien, of course.
Yes.
Now, I did
Alien,
not until
yes.
he said towards the end of this movie, "You're making my wife upset." I was like, "That's their relationship. These two are married."
Yeah, they own this mud bath place, this like mud bath spa, and they're the Belichicks, which of course makes me think of famous football coach Bill Belichick.
Bill
His name is
Belichick.
Jack Belichick. Is
Jack
Jeff
Belichick.
Oh, and we
Goldblum's
went bake to
name.
bake. Now
I
we
didn't
went
read
Jack to
you, Billy.
Jack. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people saying David in this movie. So yeah, we're very
Yeah.
much going back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack to Jack.
And that's another thing I like about this movie is like everyone in all the characters are very intelligent. Like they have all their own, like Brooke
Yeah.
Adams is like a scientist too. Like they all have, they're talking about philosophy and psychiatry and stuff. Jeff Goldblum's like, this guy, Dr. David Kibler, like he's an idiot. Like he's arguing with Leonard Nimoy and stuff. Like they're all like intellectuals kind of.
No, that's
Even the
true.
people that own the mud baths are like
Like,
smart.
Seems like a
Nancy-
critique. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Like Nancy figures out very quickly how to trick the pod people. Like everybody's smart.
Yeah.
Instead of your normal horror movie where you have dumbasses, everybody is smart in this. I think that's a good distinction.
Yeah, even Nancy, who's like kind of the most scared, when they're running away and stuff and kind of like freaking out, is like making these smart deductions and stuff.
I remember being so surprised that she was the final girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's such a surprise, of course, not to jump ahead when, Brooke Adams, the reveal of her being potted and stuff is so scary.
At 35, didn't mind her changing. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
Turning to a pod people as quick as she can. She spends the rest of the movie completely naked.
Yeah, there's a little nudity in the end.
It was
and
shocking
of course,
though, because you expect her to make it. So that was an interesting story choice.
Yeah, as sort of the audience POV character, her and Donald Sutherland. And then the thing that she does with her eyes, we got to talk about this too. There's the scene where, I mean, I don't know how she does that. She spins her eyes around like very quickly. And this is
prove you're not crazy. Do your crazy eye trick.
Right.
Okay.
It's this very, very attractive thing to me. I was like, I don't know how you're doing that, but I'm into it.
Right. I guess that's just a talent that she has in real life, and they were like, "All right,
sure." Yeah.
I would assume she said, "Want to see this thing I can do?" And Donald Sutherland was like, "That's fucking nuts. Let's put that in the movie."
Let's put that in the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of he says like, that's as long as you can do that, I know you're not a pod person. But yeah, we have these two coworkers at the health department, Brooke Adams and her friend Donald Sutherland, who she kind of is confiding in about her boyfriend acting strange. Like they go to sleep that night, right? They wake up, her boyfriend's just acting very strange. She's like, "That's not my boyfriend. That's a different person."
He's so dialed up to be so chauvinistic. And come on, baby, the sports game. Whatever. Let's go to bed. Oh, you only want one thing. Yeah, for the Warriors to win. Bow! And then cut to the morning. Completely quiet, fully buttoned up suit, normal, just like very reserved. And you're with her. You're like, oh, that is not the guy we've spent the last 10 minutes getting to know.
Yeah. And of course, when you turn into a pod people, you just become an emotionless. You have no love. You have no hate. You have any strong emotions. You're just
a communist.
Walking around. Yeah. Wearing the suit, taking out the trash. They're always like, there's always weird stuff going with the garbage truck. Like they're spreading the pods in there or something.
I would assume collecting the remains of the human.
Yeah, that could be. That makes a lot of sense. He's taking this mysterious trash out. But that's when the sort of conspiracy starts, and Brooke Adams starts noticing like things are weird. Like people are acting weird on the street. They're looking at her. He's meeting with weird people. She like follows him around and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she confides in her friend from work, Donald Sutherland. And we kind of go from there, right?
Yeah, and what I love about this is like it's so efficient with setting up the chauvinistic boyfriend, and then one night later he's acting weird and we know he's weird, and then we see maybe somebody looking through a window at her office, and it begins the slow burn, and I would say this is like the greatest slow burn of all slow burns. It's just this incredible building of tension all the way through, and it's amazing.
Right. Yeah, this is kind of my favorite part of the movie, where it's like no one's really sure what's going on yet. They're trying to figure it out, but so yeah, Donald Sutherland is like, let's go see my psychiatrist friend, Dr. Spock.
That's what they say. The emphasis, like you said, Jacob, on intelligence. I don't need to see a therapist. Don't think of him that way. Think of him as a very smart man. And what he's going to do is use reason to deduce. He will let you know that he's not having an affair. He will let you know that he has not caught a social disease. He will let you know that he has not become gay. He throws out all these things where you're like,
maybe he's become a Republican. Yeah.
Or a Republican, he says. And you're like, right. Yeah. It's like, okay. And that would make you feel better, right? To sort of talk to someone who can just be rational, be logical. But this whole film rebels against ration and logic in a certain way, right? That is the evil towards the end. It's a very interesting dichotomy.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Leonard Nimoy actually wanted to do this movie because he was getting typecast as Spock. So he's like, I want to play a different kind of role. Of course, he does become more Spock-like at the end, but when he becomes more pod personish. But at the beginning, yeah, he's a very he has emotions and stuff. So it's very different than Spock.
I was trying to figure out what that glove was that he was wearing, and then
like the driving glove thing. Yeah, what is that?
But the fingers are exposed. My number one question I had written down for you guys was like, what is that little brown leather wrist glove he wears on one hand that 3 fingers exposed?
Yeah, I
have
that
an
too.
answer.
Like, what is it?
He said he wanted to wear that because he's like, I want it to just. It was like a carpal tunnel glove from the 70s. So he's like, I wanted to imply my character had carpal tunnel syndrome, but I was like, I had to figure out what that was.
Yeah,
exactly. He's writing his books.
I thought it was like a falconry glove or something.
Right. He's a falconer.
He writes a new book every 6 months. It takes me 6 months to write one word.
Wow, that's actually very well informed. See, if he was a falconer, he'd be more of a Tom Jones type.
Yeah.
That final shot, I'll bet.
No. Right. 2 great final shots to talk about in this.
Yeah. But that's why, so you have Leonard Nimoy, then you have Jeff Goldblum, and they sort of have this intellectual rivalry where Jeff Goldblum sees himself as an intellectual. He's like, this is like pop psychiatry, like garbage. Like, he doesn't like what Leonard Nimoy's writing about and stuff. He's like, sure, he can pump out these books. I actually think about the words that I write as I write them,
Even that lady coming up to him. Yeah, when she walks into the conversation, he's like, was I talking to you? But he continues to have the argument for a bit. That's a great beat.
I should mention too, so
go ahead.
There's some cameos in this movie.
What I was literally about to say. Go ahead.
So this is interesting. So that woman that he talks to at the book party, that's Philip Kaufman's wife. And then Philip Kaufman, the director, also has a cameo in this when Donald Sutherland's in the phone booth making the calls. He's the guy that comes up to the phone booth. There's also a cameo of Don Siegel, the director of the original 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He plays the taxi driver at the end of the movie when they're trying to get to the airport. So that's Don Siegel, who was still working in the 70s as a director. He directed Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, absolutely. And then had a heart attack on a toilet from doing way too much cocaine.
Sure.
Now, my favorite is it Kevin McCarthy, Andrew McCarthy? I cannot remember his name. The original actor from the first film is the man who runs up, screams at them, who was a legend in my household, who I had certainly seen before this film and before the 50s one, because he is the bad guy in the Weird Al film UHF, which my brother and I watched all the time, dogs.
Right. I had not seen
Kevin
the original.
McCarthy.
Yeah, but there was a
lead
joke
of
that
the
he
original.
Right,
Yes.
sorry. No, there was a joke that he has been running since the end of the first movie. Like, this could be a sequel.
That's how the film ends, is him basically running at the screen screaming, they're coming, they're coming. So to enter and insert himself into this film, it felt very relevant. Yeah.
He sort of runs to their cars, is screaming, and then he kind of runs off and then gets hit by a car, and then there's a whole crowd of people looking at him, and that's when our leads see them and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
People are chasing him, and Donald Sutherland says, "Well, he must have done something." You're like,
Yeah.
what? What did he do that a crowd is like about to rip him apart?
Yeah.
Right.
But
we get intrigued here when Donald Sutherland calls the police, and they're,
Yeah, so they go to this book party, which is like a book signing for Dr. David Kibler, I think is his name.
He's very famous.
Leonard Nimoy, a very famous psychiatrist who's written these books that everyone's reading and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we meet Jeff Goldblum, Jack Belichick, who's a friend of Donald Sutherland, and he's there to like argue with Leonard Nimoy and stuff. He's very excitable, very Jeff Goldblum-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we love him.
You want to say to him, shut up 10 times in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes, shut up. We're trying to think about this, dog, and figure this out. Shut up.
Now, what about when they go, like, this whole mud bath location? What do you guys think of this mud bath spa that this Belichick couple owns?
Very 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Very healthy.
Bathe in some mud. Yeah. I'm going to read some kind of psychology book while I'm laying in this mud.
Nancy Cartwright says, "How did it go?" We're introduced to her character, and he says, "Horrible." And she says, "You didn't read any of your poetry?" Oh, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have such a funny relationship too, where I really like them.
I like you said, I like every character in this movie. They feel so developed. They feel so real. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when he comes back from the book party, at first he's not saying anything. He throws the book on the ground. He's being silent. And then it's planting the seed of like, is he, like, you're always questioning, like, have they been potted or not yet? But then it turns out he hasn't been. But it sets those questions up, that kind of.
And there's a couple like sort of red herrings in this mud bath location where you think like, oh, is this guy laying in the mud? Is he a pod person now or something? He's acting weird.
So weird.
Yeah.
Do such a good job of planting that question in your mind so early on that you're questioning everybody you see on screen at all times. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they're at this book party, and of course, when they go to this book party, Leonard Nimoy is talking to this woman who's like, my husband is changed. Like, I don't recognize him and stuff. And he's like, well, and he's like explaining in like psychiatry terms and trying to convince her that it's like kind of in her head and stuff. And so that's another.
The way that Brooke Adams approaches where she's finally feeling a little vindicated that other people feel this way. But she still looks so nervous and shaky. And finally she breaks through and goes, no, but I know what that woman's talking about. Leonard Nimoy's like, okay, just 2 minutes. Like, let me do my job. Give me some space. Like you said, Jacob, against type. He is so gregarious. He's a showman. He's intelligent, like he obviously always plays. But the smug, the arrogance, the I know we keep saying new wave, hippie, like these terms, but it's so this is the most 70s movie ever made. Everybody
is,
content is so 70s. Everyone is acting so 70s. He has the long sideburns with his hair. The way that his handsome goblin face. I have called him a goblin in 10 movies that we've covered of this man, or how many ever it's appeared.
Right.
But he is so one of a kind and singular. He is an incredible addition to this film, and this is an incredible performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like Donald Sutherland, he's not a traditionally handsome leading man, but he just has something about him that people are drawn to, and that's why everyone, in Star Trek, all these women, Kirk Shatner would be like, all the women should be into me, and then but all these women would be writing into Spock and stuff and being in love with Spock. He's like, I don't understand why they love Spock.
An intelligent man who's considerate. Wow.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy wrote books. He was a noted photographer. He directed movies. He was an actor.
He was an artist. He was a hippie kind of.
He is
very different from Spock.
Yes, but you just get the feeling that he could do anything. And that's why he works as this character who you're just like, that guy comes off as famous. Like he has that energy.
He has a lot of charisma, and that's I think why he wanted to play a role like this, where he's like, look, I'm not Spock. Like, I was playing a character, but I've been typecast so much as Spock. That's the only roles I can get. And that's why he wrote that book called I Am Not Spock. Because he had to tell people, like, look, I'm not Spock.
In my mind, I kept imagining this was a book party for that book. And then halfway through, all right, remember everybody, I'm not Spock.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so he's sort of the voice of authority, and so he's trying to, psychoanalyze Brooke Adams and be like, well, it's all about the family unit is breaking down, you see, and that's what it's all come to in this modern society that we live in.
No one wants to stay married. It's
Yeah.
the woman. Basically not saying it, but he's like, you could imply it's the woman's fault, and it's
Right.
like
Women are getting all these ideas these days.
Yeah. Do you want
you
to
just imagine Ben Shapiro interviewing him and him, or who's that crazy guy that people
Jordan Peterson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a proto Jordan Peterson role. That's yes, that's exactly what it is.
Trying to use intellectualism to push shitty agenda. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's pop psychology, which is becoming a big thing and it still is today, where just people are thinking about, things differently than they did in the 60s and stuff, where you're just like, if you have any mental issues or anything, you just have to push it down and not talk about it, right?
Act normal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to this book party, they leave, there's some discussion. We go back to the mud baths with Jack. They have a nice scene and stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, they find a body that's laying on one of the massage tables, right? And they're like, what is that?
She's like, you gotta go, we're closed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they call their friend Matthew Bennell in, Donald Sutherland's character. And so he has, Leonard Nimoy come meet them there. So they all meet at this mud bath. They're trying to figure out, okay, there's this weird body that it's turning into Jeff Goldblum.
It starts to have a nosebleed. Yeah.
He has the nosebleed.
He has the nosebleed because he kind of got hit in the nose. It started to bleed. It's gaining detail. So we start to see the effects of like what happens with the pod people. They're replacing you and you have to fall asleep. It replaces you, or like takes your memories while you're asleep. It's got all this hair all over it. Yeah.
Just real quick, a trope that these movies always have that I like that this one doesn't is so many times someone will have a scar and they'll be like, the new body doesn't have that scar. So in the Leonard Nimoy scene, when the woman says, my husband, he has this scar on his neck that you can see when his hair's not too long, and Brooke Adams goes, and it's not there anymore. And she's like, no, it is.
Yeah, that was surprising.
You see in Brooke Adams' face that she's like, damn it. I need this to make sense. Yes.
Yeah. So they're like, this is crazy. There's this weird body that looks like Jeff Goldblum. We don't know what's going on. Then Brooke Adams goes home. She goes to sleep. Donald Sutherland goes to check on her. He finds her like in the process of being podded, where there's a pod person of her growing. He kind of kidnaps her from her house while her boyfriend is there being a pod person too. And so, this all culminates. They all kind of get together like, okay, shit's going on. Bodies are appearing. Yeah.
Right. And I think
they try to get the police involved too. And the police are like, what are you talking about? There's bodies. We don't see any bodies. You abducted this woman. Her boyfriend was, said you abducted her and stuff. So it kind of makes Donald Sutherland look crazy. Like he's imagining things or something.
Right, and that scene is like a handheld kind of one take thing panning around.
Yeah.
And the response of the boyfriend to be like, "No, it's okay that he kidnapped her." Like he's so like,
yeah.
But I'll be getting her back tonight, right? I need her back tonight.
And he's like, "No, but I need clothes." He's like, "Okay," like very weird.
And then even when they leave, you see like the cop look at him, and you realize, oh, the cop's a pod person too.
Right.
So they're all kind of in on this conspiracy, and more people are being turned as time goes on. So it's just like you don't know who you can trust anymore.
Yeah, and even starting at the book party, we see a lot of people staring too. Like we're starting to see like how big is this thing gotten? How deep does it go? And it just has to build. Yeah.
And that's something I love. Even when in the beginning, like Brooke Adams is at work and she walks by like some guy like looking through the window. Yeah, and it's just like these little details of like all these people staring at her and stuff. And it's like, this is so off-putting. Like,
yeah,
why are these people staring?
But when I first learned about the mechanisms by which people get podded, like that makeup is great. Those effects are like really gruesome. The tendrils and all that.
It's pretty good.
It's really iconic.
It's interesting the way your skin starts like drying out too. Like when you see Jeff Goldblum, like his skin is like drying out. And he's like, I'm really tired. I think I need to lay down.
Right.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
You know
And we
what a good
figured-
modern one is, I'm realizing, and Mike, you hate this movie. It Follows. That sense of paranoia of
It
never
Follows.
knowing
Yeah.
who's watching
true.
you is evil. Yeah.
And that's a movie that's it's sort of a metaphor for STDs.
Right.
Sexually transmitted diseases being spread.
Sexually transmitted demon.
Demon, yeah.
STDs, yes.
That's my one joke for that movie.
Right.
But yeah. But we learned that like she put the flower near the bedside table of her boyfriend on his side, and that's why he gets potted instead of her. So like we figure out like Jeff Goldblum's looking at the flower. Like we're starting to put it together that the flowers from the very beginning of the movie are linked to this whole thing.
Yeah. Don't touch that flower. Put that flower down. It's like it
could be like a cholera outbreak. It could be, and in my mind, literally, that's what I said out loud. It's COVID-19.
Yeah.
Big city. Yeah.
This movie was so ahead of its time.
Yeah. But we have like mysteries too. We get everybody at the spa, and then we call Spock. I'm sorry. We get Leonard Nimoy to come down, but then the body, has disappeared. It's like, so where'd the body go? The window's open. Like, so the missing evidence of the pod person of Elizabeth, it's like, what is?
We goes back to the house.
Everybody feels like they're going crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and where he saw her pod body is like, I like how it's like the pot and stuff makes it kind of look like a face there. So you're like, oh, he must have imagined it or something.
Is it true what they say, Matthew? If you think you're going crazy, you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do your weird eye trick.
Exactly.
I love it. So yeah, they all kind of group up and they're like, all right, something weird is happening. I'm trying to think. So they end up at Matthew's house, and Leonard Nimoy's just like, okay, everyone just stay calm. Like, I'm going to go do some stuff. I'll call you in a little bit. And he leaves. And that's when he goes down the stairs and gets in a car with a bunch of other pod people. And you realize, oh, he's in on it the whole time. And he's trying to like gaslight them basically. And he's like, all right, we gotta turn these people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first big twist. Yeah.
And then it makes you wonder too, like, how long has he been a pod person? Is it from the book party? Like, and you don't know, or maybe there is evidence, but I couldn't find it. But it's like, how long has he been?
When was he turned? And how good are pod people at pretending to be the person they are? Because earlier in the movie, he's not acting emotionless, right? So it's like
he has the moment where he says to Jeff Goldblum, "Hey, fucking back off!" And then he turns to Brooke at him and he's like, "How did that make you feel?"
Did that
and
surprise
she's
you?
Like really scared. He's like, "Good." So I would imagine not then, right? That he really is just kind of this arrogant asshole.
I also think there's maybe some commentary about like them targeting celebrities early on because they have influence. 100%. So
and
maybe there's
people
a higher
in
level
power,
pod
like
person. I don't know.
People in the government and people in power to control, methods of communication. Because like when Donald Sutherland's like calling different people and stuff, and they're like, and you realize like, oh, they're all in on it.
The phone operators, even.
Yeah.
And like, this is so.
Mr. Bennell, what is your line? He's like, I never told you my name.
This is the best scene in the entire movie when they decide to sleep at the apartment. Brooke Adams wakes him up. There's pot. Look, they're making them, and you see the start.
A bunch of them are monsters. Growing. Yeah.
They get up. He runs. They go inside. And he goes, "I'll call the police." This entire scene plays out of, okay, we need you to be here. We'll be right there, Mister Whatever your name is. I didn't tell you my name.
Tell you my name.
Everybody's screaming at him. We need to do this. We need to do that. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And Donald Sutherland's acting in this scene when he just keeps saying, I didn't tell them my name. Like, he's just in such utter shock. He's the leader. He's the go-to person in the film. He has no answers here about what to do or how to save the day.
Yeah, and they're still not realizing like the scope of the conspiracy where like these people in authority are in on it now. So it's like they need to get out of the city, basically.
I didn't call the operator. Excuse me, operator. I didn't call you.
Yeah.
Yes, we know, sir, but we'll be right there. They're making a barricade.
Oh man, yeah, so good.
In this scene where he falls asleep outside, the plants, you see the plants, and then the bodies are growing. They're running, they wake up, they run away. He's like gonna smash one of them with a shovel, and he he almost smashes the Brooke Adams one, and then he smashes himself. Basically,
he couldn't bring
caves
himself to even her visage, right?
Yeah, you're right. And they're these little like hollow, filled with jelly donut fluid almost things. But to say that we did a great special effects film last week, this is a great special effects movie because you imagine some of these shots are Donald Sutherland laying down with his shirt off, wrapped in some kind of material, just going like, like making like crazy faces.
Right.
Even like the pod baby, it's very milky and gross, kind of like Alien.
Little hands. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
it's
like poor Nancy Cartwright.
It's like,
stay away from sleeping eggs or whatever. It's like you're like, what a horrible world you're stuck in.
Dang, yeah, she's getting
she's not having a good time
around eggs.
But I love how like they start out, they're just like blank, they have no features, and then they slowly develop the features of whatever person they're trying to replicate. Reminds me of, there's a Doctor Who episode that has a similar thing of like these simulacrum people taking over real people, kind of, which is obviously just a very popular sci-fi trope that's been done.
But this is the big special effects sequence.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and it looks.
Well, the scariest one to me, not to jump too far, but when Brooke Adams turns and he comes back and he like hugs what he thinks is Brooke Adams, and she just like, her whole body just like melts in his hands. Yeah. That effect was crazy to me. Like
it's like dried leaves almost.
It's
like dead plant. It's like a husk, Mike. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and his reaction in that shot is one of the greatest things in this movie.
Yeah, he's just like, he doesn't know what to do. Like
horror.
He's just lost everything. Yeah.
And then he can't even
somebody
scream.
Says his name and he goes,
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the effects are great.
Yeah. But so at this point, they see the bodies growing. They're like, we need to get the fuck out of here. They start running around the streets at night, basically. And it's like, don't go to sleep. If you go to sleep, that's when they change you. So you just have to stay awake. They're taking speed. He's like,
these are Dr. So-and-so's
Let's take 5. Yeah.
How many should we take? It says 1. Let's take 5.
Yeah. Just to stay awake. Then they're running around. Again, lots of cool stuff with shadows. Very film noir, where it's just like they're being chased by all these people, these pod people.
Yeah. And then like we get Jeff Goldblum also in another. He does his flare scene from Jurassic Park. He's like, I'll distract him. Hey, pod people, come to me. I wonder if that was his choice in Jurassic Park. I wonder if that was informed by this movie.
That's interesting. I like that, Mike.
I like that his wife is like, oh, I'm coming with you too, and starts running after him.
Right.
So they just split up basically.
Right.
And Brooke Adams and Donald Sutherland, they hide in a building, and the pod people do find them, and that's when you get the reveal of Jeff Goldblum walks out, and you're like, oh no, they got you.
Painless.
Yeah.
Actually
like,
good.
We were wrong to be afraid. Like, just let it happen. And Leonard Nimoy is like, yeah, come on, let's, it's not so bad.
This is the background moment where literally you just get like 3 or 4 lines where he's out of nowhere like, you have to understand, we're this alien species that, we propagate around planet to planet. We do this, we do that. We survive, we adapt, and then oh no, I think it's like hit by Papa basically as he's talking. It's very funny.
Yeah. He's giving like the villain speech of like, see, this is why we're doing this, but it's okay. Like we're gonna make your society better.
No hate, no love, and it cuts to Brooke Adams, and she says, "I love you" to Donald Sutherland, and he cannot say it back. He is horrified. He just keeps going like,
well, there's injecting him with like a sedative, right, to make him fall asleep. He's
you
like,
will
you're killing me.
You're killing me. Yes, don't you understand,
David?
We'll leave. You don't have to do this.
Yeah,
we do have to do this. You're killing me. He just keeps saying that so plainly.
Yeah, we get 2 great deliveries back to back.
But they kind of surprised Leonard Nimoy, knock him out. They kill the Jeff
in the freezer
pop person.
Yes, they crush him
with a dart in his neck. Yeah.
The amount of play the dartboards got in the background, I was glad it paid off. Like somehow, I noticed a lot of dartboard in this scene.
Right.
Yeah.
So they lock Leonard Nimoy in the freezer. They're like, "All right, let's get out of here." I don't even know.
Very Wrath of Khan to look through the window as they escape in horror, you know.
And also, is this the first time we get the scream? Leonard Nimoy lets one out. Is this our first time seeing how they kind of communicate to each other?
I
or
think
there
it's
was
at the
another
house
before?
when they're making their escape. I think we have random aliens doing the scream as they make their escape. It kind of adds pressure.
This blood-curdling shriek that they make to warn the other pod people. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that was a feature of the pod people.
Have you guys ever seen the I can't remember what the context even is. There's a South Park episode that ends with one of the characters pointing at the screen and going and just like doing the noise. But I can't remember what the episode is or why they do it.
Yeah.
Me neither. But for something that I didn't know was attributed to them, like it's really scary. Like that.
Yeah.
It's just a stare and a shriek. Yeah.
And so they're running around now, just Brooke and Donald, and they're kind of seeing now how they realize because they do meet Nancy again, and she's like, okay, you can hide amongst them, you just have to have no emotions, show no emotions, you can kind of disguise yourself.
Here, I'll show you, let's do this. And then Brooke trips and she's like, my ankle, and they're all like, there they are, get them. And Nancy's like, okay. Just like walks in the other direction.
She's like, all right, they blew it already.
You guys, I told you what to do. You fucked up immediately. So goodbye.
Well, and so we have this. So we've seen this hobo with a dog and a banjo a few times. It's like Donald Sutherland seems to be friends with. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? In the beginning. Yeah. And then they pass them later and they're being potted because they're like asleep. But if you notice, Donald Sutherland like damages the plant that's making the pod of the hobo guy. And so then later you get this half dog, half human, because it's like it got corrupted because he damaged it.
I thought there was only one pod and both of them were asleep, so the pod was like, I don't know. I did not see that Donald Sutherland fucked it up.
He steps on it or something, and you can see like blood or ooze coming out of the flower, and so you're like, oh, it must have got messed up. Yeah, it's a little detail. Yeah.
That's one of the craziest things in this movie,
Yeah, this human-headed dog comes up, and that's what scares Brooke Adams, and she's like, and then everyone's like, you're not.
Talk about another fucking crazy effect. How did they do that?
Yeah. Reminds me of John Carpenter's The Thing or something, which is another remake later. Yeah.
It reminds me of this movie we saw called Mars Attacks with a human head on a dog body.
Yeah.
What are these connections? I know they put something on the front of the mask, like food or something, so it would lick, so the tongue would come out of the mouth.
Oh, it's a mask on the dog, Mike. That's so crazy.
It looks crazy. I was so off put. Yeah. It's wild.
And that's, of course, what scares Brooke Adams, so all the pod people are like...
Yes, and then Nancy sneaks into the back. She's like, I'm not with you guys. I don't know them. But I do like when she's like, we got to find Jack. And Donald Sutherland's like, we're going to beat them. Or like, he can't even tell her.
That's what I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then there's this great scene where they hear music. They're like, yo, we can do this. You stay here, baby. Ships, and he takes off. Ships. And he runs. And Jacob, again, you're talking about how the use of the city. Him running through the darkness, just the lights of San Francisco behind him looking like stars or something so alien, so foreign. Yeah. As he's just moving through the dark, gets to the harbor. The noise turns to the radio of like, this is happening and you see the cargo, the
loading the
pulling
pods
up.
On. Yeah, and you're like, oh,
and he's just like
worldwide, basically, spreading the pods everywhere.
The way that he just like slowly turns and walks back,
so dejected.
He's like, we're done. There's no surviving this.
Yeah,
and he hears "Amazing Grace" being played on bagpipes.
That's
for
what
some
it is.
reason.
That's what the song is. What a great choice. Yeah,
right. He's like, the ships, of course, we can get out on the ships. Well, before this even happens, of course, they get in a taxi driven by Don Siegel, director of the original. They're like, we want to go to the airport. They're going to try to get out of the city. Of course, we'll go to the airport. They pull up to this, there's this police road stop where they're stopping all these cars. And they sort of realize the taxi driver's in on it too, because the police guy comes up. He's like, both of them.
Type H.
Yeah, they escape, so they run away. But that's another great scene.
Yeah. Is this where they see the factory of where the plants are sort of being made?
Yeah, they see like this greenhouse where they're growing all the plants, and then so Donald Sutherland sees the ships, tries to get on the ships, realizes that's not going to work, comes back to Brooke Adams. That's when you realize she's been turned by this point, which happened really quick, but she must have just fallen asleep basically. And then they're like, get her now. So he goes through this whole emotional thing where it's like, now he's lost everything basically.
No.
And that's when he decides to like just try to destroy the greenhouse where they're growing all the plants. So he does that. He causes a bunch of commotion. They're all chasing him again, of course. And then we sort of cut to, it's the next day. He's going about his job again, acting, disguised or something, like no emotions, right? He's kind of disguising himself among them.
After the fire, we hear Dr. Spock's line repeated in narration. You'll have to sleep eventually. You'll have to sleep eventually. You'll have to sleep eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to Donald Sutherland looking so tired in the daylight. And then they've
been up for like 2 full days.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cuts to the next day. It's daylight out. He's at his job at the health department doing a normal thing. So you think, oh yeah, he's just disguising himself again. And that's when we get Nancy, Veronica Cartwright. We see her again. She sees Donald. She walks up to him. He's like, oh, finally. And that's the big ending twist.
Mm-hmm.
He has been potted and he makes the screaming noise at her. And that's a very scary image. And it
is. Here's why it bugged me so much as a kid.
Yeah.
Not seeing the pod change him.
Right.
It's what I understand now as an adult, that it's almost like he's committing the sin of like just not I don't even know how to say it. Like he doesn't have the empathy or energy to solve the problem, and because of that he's being punished for it. It's almost like the people who just sit by and let communism spread, right? It's like the Red Scare. It's like, maybe you didn't go to the meetings, because obviously meetings are what they keep saying. Meetings,
right?
Communist meetings. That was a huge thing in the 50s. I'm sure it's drawn directly from
and
the
all the
book this
pod
is
people are
based
having
on.
meetings around town.
Meetings are having meetings.
Yeah.
That's how you get converted. But the idea that like, well, you just let this happen, and because of that, the world is over. And it's like, oh.
Well, it's like he kind of tried everything. Like they've tried a bunch of different things. They tried to get out of the city. They tried to go to the airport. They tried to go to the ships. None of it worked. So it's like eventually it's like, yeah, he just gave up because it's so nihilistic that there's no way. Like they've already won by this point.
Right. And that's like when this twist happened, like I wasn't expecting it, and I was really like shocked. I was like, damn, strong choice. And again, like Colin said, American Werewolf, like it's such a dour kind of ending. But then I remembered, like, I had seen that shot just through cultural osmosis, but I didn't see it coming. Like I was so invested in the story that when it finally hit, I'm like, oh, that's the thing.
It's one of those things like, The Exorcist or something where certain thing, like you know about certain things, but you just seeing it for the first time, you're like still surprised by it.
Within the context of the story, it was incredible execution. Sad, but like I was,
This is one of these things where you almost wonder if Nancy Cartwright is just part of like 2 urban legends. Obviously, there's that one where they're like, nobody knew John Hurt was going to have a chest burster come out of him, and you're like, that's impossible. The amount of rigging, like, like people read the script, like, what are you talking about? Supposedly, she was not given the ending of this film and was told, go up to Donald, he's going to have a normal conversation with you. And when he turned and made the shriek, that's reaction,
her real
reaction. Her is her going like, just like losing it, because she's like, oh my
great.
God.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't
maybe.
know if it's true, but yeah.
Right. But still
Makes
amazing
sense.
reaction. And then it's like 2 movies that she's been in where it's like a surprise final girl, like because like Sigourney Weaver wasn't supposed, that wasn't telegraphed, just like Nancy wasn't telegraphed to be kind of the last survivor.
The whole time you think, oh, Brooke Adams, she's gonna be the final one. Then she turns and you're like, oh shit, I guess Donald Sutherland will be like the final person. And then you're like, nope, not even him.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. Is like that whole last scene when he's just walking around at his job and stuff. You don't know. Like you think he's just disguising his emotions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see the
really
bust
well
of kids pull up from out of state for a field trip.
Oh, why do we have to take a nap now? Yeah.
I'm not even tired. Why do we have to do that so early? And it's like,
Ooh,
it's fucking over, man.
You've been seeing how they've been spreading, like they have lines of people carrying pods around their people
Who has
talking on
relatives in Portland?
loudspeakers. Yeah, different areas
yes,
oh,
that's right.
this is going global. Like
Yeah.
the earth is fucked.
And just the subtle execution of all these scenes of escalation where it's like 3 or 4 people handing off a bouquet of flowers to like building to the trucks with we're handing it off to the locals all the way to the ships and the factory, like just showing how out of hand it's gotten slowly throughout the movie. It's like
the slow
perfect
escalation.
execution, man.
Yeah. Even the scene where Donald Sutherland goes to like his dry cleaners and he's talking to his dry cleaners like, oh, my wife is sick. My wife has changed or something.
Oh, my wife.
Yeah.
Jacob, what's happening? Why he keeps saying that? The garbage truck.
Right. You see the garbage truck in the background.
A lot of garbage trucks actually start to
again so well executed. Like everything about this movie.
This is one of my favorite sci-fi horror whatever movie. This is one of my favorite things now. Like it's so good. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you guys liked it because I was like, when I made this my pick, I'm like, you guys, if you haven't seen it, you need to see this movie. It's so good. Like, I can't believe I went so long without seeing it because it became one of my favorites just seeing it earlier this year.
For a story that seems to be retold and retold and retold, I guarantee you most of our listeners have not seen this movie. This is a strong must-watch, high recommend, this version in particular.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree.
And I want to go back and watch the 50s version now because I haven't seen that.
I almost did that as well.
It's pretty campy from what I recall. I have it on DVD.
Sure.
I have not watched it since 5th grade.
It's very like Twilight Zone-y.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is I guess, correct me, Colin, that one's like in a small town, USA kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So putting this in the big city, I think, is also like a really strong point of it. Using the city as a character, almost as Jacob has said, like that helps us so much. The claustrophobia of the conspiracy closing in, like it's really aided by being in a city.
And again, San Francisco, Philip Kaufman lived there. He loved San Francisco. He felt like it was sort of this hotbed of like progressivism and like these new ideas and stuff in the 70s. And it was just this intellectual culture. So he's like, if it can happen there, then like it can happen anywhere, really. So
in a very progressive place.
In a place that he feels very comfortable at home, like changing and becoming this different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, this, obviously it's a remake. Remakes were not like super typical in this day. Like, it was a little like I was reading a lot of reviews of like different critics reviewing it at the time and stuff, and they all mentioned, all comparing it to the original and stuff. And I just think about how remakes are so synonymous now. And back in the day, it was like this. It was like John Carpenter's The Thing was another one of a remake of a 50s sci-fi.
Jacob, you threw it out, his name, Cronenberg. I would also say The Fly. The Fly's remake is so highbrow compared to what it was the 50s. And then if you guys haven't seen The Blob remake with Steve McQueen, exact same. People were looking at these things going, you know what? There was an idea there. Boy, we were limited by the time. I wonder what we could do now. And they fucking knock it out of the park. And the difference is, when we make those choices now, there was something there, we could really do it now. What they're saying is what we could really do now is add CG to it. Like there's really not like more of a, like the care and craft of this movie, people do not put that attention into when they do remakes now.
Right. And now it feels like remakes are like, oh, we want the IP, we want the name to sell for marketability. I don't think Philip Kaufman was like, oh, I want this IP of Invasion of the Body Snatchers to sell this movie. Like he's like, I love that movie. I want to do my own twist on it. And so many of these directors who grew up watching movies of the 50s and stuff, like Spielberg, like John Carpenter, who was in love with Howard Hawks and these movies of the 50s, was like, I love that movie, The Thing from Outer Space or whatever, and I want to make my own version of it now in 1985.
The world.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a real genuine love for the original, and then wanting to do a new spin on it with new technology and stuff.
Yeah, famously,
remakes now don't have.
No, they did the prequel to The Thing that was practical effects, and then they covered it with CGI in the edit.
That was a real shame because
my favorite actress.
Movie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, of course. I've seen that movie, and there's things I liked about it. It had
Yeah.
potential, and I think the director even said like, yeah, I wanted to do like it was made to be all practical and stuff. And the studio was like, no, we need to replace this with CG. And it's just again another marketing thing where it's like, it's going to sell more if it's CG and stuff. And it's going to be cheaper. So yeah, it's a shame.
But this is an era, Colin kind of delineated that Tim Burton is like a guy who grew up watching movies on TV. This is definitely a guy who watched movies at the cinema, and like you feel that in the influence and the execution for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a love here. But let me ask you, Alien tie-in, Alien Romulus, get away from her, you bitch. We bounce off that, but because this is one of a kind at the time, like, would anybody have a problem with they're coming for you, you're next? Like, that's very much like a similar
they
spirit.
Take the line. You're right, Mike. Yeah.
But we like it here. We like the director having a cameo. So, what's the difference? I guess I would say to challenge the
trying
listeners.
To defend your movie, Mike.
Again, I was in Alien. I'm allowed to.
The problem with Alien Romulus, which I don't hate that movie at all, like I like it, but the context in which some of the lines were used, it felt like they were only doing that to be a reference. Like when
this felt
the android Andy the android says that, it's like it doesn't make sense in context that he would say that. Like, why was he calling this alien a bitch? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Fair, but yes, this does
That's
have
my
context.
problem with it, I guess. Yeah.
No, and I don't, not trying to turn it into that conversation, but the idea of referencing something because you can and because it's like good, I guess. This lands on because it's good side, I think.
Yeah,
I adore this.
And again, Philip Kaufman, a contemporary of Spielberg and Lucas and Scorsese and all these new Hollywood directors. And of course, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, inspired by the adventure serials that these directors were watching as kids and stuff. So it all comes from a love of that era of movies.
I think it's great that we get Star Trek, Star Wars, and Alien all in this one movie. Like that kind of background. That's really cool.
Yeah, again, Ben Burtt, like coming off of just doing Star Wars a year before, like really just knocking it out of the park with the sound design. Yeah.
Yeah, well, for real.
I think we're all in agreement on this film, but let's go ahead and head to our final thoughts now and wrap up our talk on Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We're back here on Normies Like Us, the most 70s podcast, talking the most 70s film, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is a podcast. We're pod people. We set it up top. But
that's right.
Again, we're going to give our final thoughts now on this film. Jacob, you picked it.
Yeah.
What a pick. I feel like we're batting 1,000 already for Spooktober.
Ooh,
these were
absolutely
awesome choices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I thought this one it's a well-known movie, but it's maybe people just aren't talking about it as much as, some of these other like horror classics, like The Exorcist or something. So it's like a little underappreciated, I feel like. And I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't seen it and should see it because it's such a good movie. So I wanted to bring attention to it.
It gets overshadowed by, I think, movies like The Thing as far as remakes.
And The Thing is a very similar movie in that it's like you don't know. It's all about an alien turning into people, and you don't know who's real and who's an alien.
If someone in your life is acting weird, you do say things like, "You're kind of being a pod person right now."
Yeah,
like
that did become common lingo. Yeah,
that's even permeated in the culture.
When I was a kid, my mom would say like, "Oh, don't be a pod person and stuff."
Just
like, what are you talking about?
Our neighbors are like pod people. They're so weird, and you're like, "What does that mean?" I think the barrier to entry is the title Body Snatchers. I think people think that means something corny or cheesy.
It is a strange title. Obviously, it's the same title as the 50s movie.
And the book was called The Body Snatchers. This was called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This one's called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I told you guys one of the remakes is just called Body Snatchers The Invasion. With Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman. I've never seen that. I'll probably watch it tonight, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, just the word body snatchers. It's like weird imagery, like they're snatching bodies. Like snatching is a weird word to use.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it could have been the body stealers or something.
Synonym.
Yeah, the body
stealers. That sounds worse to me. I don't know. That's so,
the invasion of the imposter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let me look at the Rotten Tomatoes here. So Body Snatchers, this film has a 93% with critics and an 82 with audience.
Wow.
Right?
Fuck yeah.
Pretty good.
Meanwhile, The Thing has an 85 with critics and a 92 with audience. So this is like maybe more of a cinephiles movie, and that's why
That's interesting because I mean, The Thing is a great movie too. Like, I'm not going to spare The Thing.
Kind of better though. I think they're both
That's
great.
insane, Mike. No way.
Really?
It looks
I
better.
love The Thing too.
God, San Francisco is so interesting, but I'm such a men's right activist that I just have to have a movie with only men in it.
No women
I love
allowed.
Kurt Russell.
No, I love. I mean,
Yeah.
that might be the best John Carpenter movie, and I love John Carpenter.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's in my top Letterboxd 4. I know, again, we're always make fun of when people say that, but The Thing is in there.
I'm with you. I mean, they're both great movies.
I'm not trying to attack. I'm just trying to say I
Yeah.
love this movie so much because of like the amount of detail in every frame, the slow escalation, the fact that there's something in the background of every shot. Like it's crazy.
Absolutely.
This thing is crazy.
I'm glad you like that about the movie because that's like the main thing I love about this movie is the way it's shot, the framing, the detail. Like, it's so good. Yeah, so I totally agree with you there.
The only thing dating it is the wardrobe and hair. Like, it's just so 70s looking.
That it's so 70s.
In the crowd of people who rip Andrew McCarthy apart is like 4 black guys who are dressed like Huggy Bear from Starsky, like old school pimps. Like like the wardrobe. Sometimes you're like, this is insane what these people are wearing.
It's more 70s than Escape from Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Yes. Donald Sutherland in this movie, though, his wardrobe, his hair, his mustache, everything about him is like
mustache.
Exactly what I wish I looked like.
He's so
like
thin.
my ideal man.
But when I look in the mirror, this is what I see, and I'm not positive that's what I want to look like.
You just gotta start wearing like a trench coat around, like a 70s trench coat. And stuff.
Right.
To have that much confidence. He's so confident. Cool job, cool house, nice guy, cool girl that likes
knows how to cook. Yeah.
Right. And at the end, we said the thing about him not being able to say "I love you" back, but when he's hugging
at the end,
corpse,
he's like, "I love you,
I love you, I love you," and he keeps saying it over and over again.
Yeah. And obviously they have that night together where they're trying not to fall asleep, and that's when they kiss, right? And they're in the dark, and you just see their eyes. There's a lot of good shots of people hiding, and you just see their eyes through like when they're hiding under the stairs. You see the 4 pairs of eyes in the slits of the stairs.
Yeah,
like, man, what a great shot!
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The attention to detail, dude's like, I'm gonna study film noir and films that had no color and see how they generated frames just through the contrast of light and apply that to this movie. Like,
and you can really learn so much about cinematography by watching old film noir movies from the 40s and 50s, where they didn't have color. They had to do it all in black and white, and they had to evoke this feeling and stuff. And I think a lot of that is lost with some newer movies where we're just shooting for coverage. We're not thinking about the framing. We're not thinking about what this means to the overall themes of the movies. We're just getting, 2 shots of people talking and stuff. And it's just not as interesting. That's what I love about film.
The other horror thing of our modern world of like, well, it has to be shot on these specific cameras because Netflix's algorithm has told us it looks the best on streaming, where you're like,
right.
That doesn't matter.
Our very common complaint of no one knows how to light movies anymore, and everything's too fucking dark. And
this is a well lit movie.
Yeah.
Even
this
when
it's dark, where they thought about light. Yeah. Even when they're running around in the dark, the way they shape the light and the shadow, it's all very purposeful. And now it's just like cinematographers, the darker the better. You can't, the less you can see, the less detail. And then you're watching it on Netflix. The bit rate from streaming is bad, so it looks terrible. It's just like, what have we come to as a society?
They've all become pod people in the industry. I swear to God.
even I watched the trailers for Megalopolis, which, look, Francis Ford's got a million issues going on. I think it looks like dog shit and too darkly lit, where I'm like, even the people who used to make well-lit movies don't seem to understand.
Forgot how.
We yelled at Tim Burton, Beetlejuice is too dark. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just, this is probably our most boomer opinions, but they just don't make them like they used to. We keep saying that every time we watch 70s and 80s
I'm
movies.
yelling at
like,
the clouds.
yeah.
But
It's lost forever.
we said it last time though. People don't want to watch movies made before like 1999, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're missing out.
Well, that's why
This
I love
is
doing
incredible.
these Spooktober episodes where we're watching. We're not picking newer horror movies, which we could do, I guess, but we're picking like classics and stuff and movies
but,
that
like,
are underappreciated.
Last year, where you guys both brought to the table, I'd never seen Ju-on. I'd never seen Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
Films that are regarded as classics that you're like, oh, cult classics, they've gotten lost or whatever. I've seen all the movies we're covering this Spooktober. It's been a million years, and coming back to them has been ambrosia. It is a fucking salve in this horror of when I throw on truly like the newest Mark Wahlberg movie on Netflix where I'm like, I should kill myself.
Right.
And then I throw these out and I'm like, actually, cinema is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Martin Scorsese
mm-hmm.
gets a lot of flack, right? Talking about like MCU and stuff like, oh, those aren't, those are theme park rides. Those aren't cinema. Like people are like, what are you talking about? That's cinema. But like, they're not understanding what he's saying. It's like the movies that he grew up loving and stuff, like they're just not as common now. And I think he's just really sad about the state of cinema. And it's really sucks to be an old man and be like, wow, I'm going to die soon and everything sucks and all movies suck.
Turning into fast food. Everything. There's no five-course
theme
meals.
park rides. They're not cinema anymore.
Yeah. Mike, would you cook a meal that was cow brains?
With rat turd, no, but maybe.
What's in this base?
I'm not eating brains ever.
I hope not. Sweetmeats, they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
You don't want to get a taste for those sweetmeats. You'll never want anything else.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
I do want to say, though, when I think about, especially going through the Spooktobers and stuff, like, what are my top 5 horror movies of all time? At least 3 or 4 of them are from this era. We've watched The Exorcist, we've watched Texas Chainsaw, we watched Invasion, we've done Silence of the Lambs. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
I love those. Yeah, even Candyman in the 90s, Silence of the Lambs in the 90s, like they still made good movies in the 90s. Yeah.
Candyman is incredibly well lit compared to movies now.
Yeah.
True.
And I mean, of
that
course,
was probably made for like
movies.
$5 million or something. You know what I mean? Like, nothing.
Yeah, right. It was sort of, it wasn't regarded as like high art when they were making it, but it looks so much better than so many movies that come out today. And like, I hate to sound, we probably sound like such like boomers for saying this, but like, that's how I feel. It's like, I don't know, man.
I'll
it's
die
really
on this hill. Halloween, the original, dog. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, super low budget, but John Carpenter was like, I know how to make a fucking movie, and I'm going to make it look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
And next week, now, we should say what we're going to do next week, because if you want to talk about a movie that made by a perfectionist and made by someone who knew how to frame the movie.
Where every shot is purposeful. We will be talking my pick, The Shining by Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
We talked a lot about the influence of 2001 recently. This is maybe the first Stanley Kubrick film we've ever talked about on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, as a subject as itself. Yeah. I mean, we're not talking about Eyes Wide Shut on here too much.
Maybe Christmas. That could be a good Christmas movie for us. I adore that film.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanley Kubrick, he was a master. He was a perfectionist, an insane perfectionist, some people might say. But yeah, The Shining was his, attempt at doing a horror movie. And obviously based on the Stephen King novel. Stephen King hated the adaptation. We'll talk about all that.
I love Stephen King. We'll talk about all that. Jacob, you have a personal experience with it. But in the way that you picked this because of Donald Sutherland, obviously, we just lost Shelley Duvall. Like that's such a bummer, and that's
such a great performance.
Such a
in that movie.
Weird legacy attached to her treatment, and
I mean, I think we'll talk about it next week, but
we'll talk.
I think some of that stuff is overblown. Where
I do too.
Kubrick's been accused of some things that like even Shelley Duvall herself said like that didn't actually happen. Like I was acting. Like
it's
a
a
I was an
movie
actress.
where I wasn't tortured. I got paid to be there.
Yeah.
And then
But
I'm knocking
like
on
Kubrick
wood.
would do like insane things, like do
Of course.
300 takes of someone walking down the staircase or something.
But again, another connection. We just talked the Joker. We'll be talking Jack Nicholson again. I'm knocking on wood
back,
that he'll
baby.
still be around, while we get there. Because obviously retired,
he's a
very
million years old. Yes. He's just living life.
Right.
I think he showed up at a Lakers home game recently. It was the first Lakers game he went to in like 2 years.
Wow.
And like, oh, Jack Nicholson's here.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like 90 something now. Yeah, but he's hanging on.
I'd like to see a recent picture that I can't even imagine how insane he looks. Obviously, there's all the memes that Leonardo DiCaprio is turning into him as he gets fatter and fatter.
The pod people.
Those.
Yeah,
it could be.
Him.
You could be a pod person, Mike.
And I just want to point out, we had Jack in American Werewolf, Jack in this, and Jack Torrance. We're going Jack to Jack to Jack.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
This will be remembered as our Jack-o-ween. Yes, our spectacular where we talk about all Jack movies. I like that.
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Jack Frost.
Here's Jack.
Here's
Jack Frost.
That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Jack Frost with Michael Keaton next. Yeah, that's
Batman too. Run it back.
Right.
The J shot.
That's right.
But anyway, I love this movie.
Invasion of the
Jacob.
Body Snatchers. Yeah, I'm really glad you liked it because I was like, I really hope that they like this movie as much as I do. So that's a great feeling. And normies, if you haven't seen it, go watch this movie. You're not going to regret it.
That's my final thought. Watch this movie.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Yeah,
it's on Tubi. You can watch it with
Tubi.
Commercial breaks. To plug us real quick, do ads on our podcast, Tubi. The last 2 films we've watched are available there. And I noticed this. All of them are getting removed. And you're listening to these in October. We're obviously recording these in October, wink, wink, but are getting removed in October for spooky season. So if there's a way for you to hear this recording early, there's not. I apologize, but try to track these down on Tubi.
Right. Tubi has a lot of good stuff. Yeah, it's obviously a free streaming site supported by ads. But when I first watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers back in the spring, it was on Amazon Prime for a little bit. Okay. It's not on Amazon Prime at the moment, but
it's kind of like we mentioned Tim Burton growing up watching like all the old quote unquote old movies on TV because they were available. It's like these classics you can just get on Tubi sometimes because people don't care about them.
That's one thing I will say about. I'll say something nice about the modern state of cinema is that with streaming, with all these different streaming services, if you pay for them or if you use less than legal methods, you do have access to so much more than we used to. Like you used to have to, before DVDs and VHSs, like you could just see things in the theater or if they ran on TV or something, then you could go to the movie store, rent movies and stuff. Now it's like you have a million movies at your fingertips at any one time.
Yeah, it's near impossible. If we had to get physical media every week and
so I love that about modern society.
Some stuff is lost to time, but the catalog these things do have, Jacob, you're right.
Yeah,
Some of
them course there's sort of the death of physical media, which is sad, but streaming does give you access to so much. Like I subscribe to the Criterion channel. I think I've shouted out a couple times. I love that streaming service because it has so much rare stuff that you can't really find anywhere else unless you get the DVD, the Criterion DVD or something. So there's a lot of good stuff out there.
I want to hear you bring this up in Spooktober because they always do an awesome Halloween run. I wonder what Criterion's going to have this year. That'll be really cool to hear it.
Yeah,
you know what?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Criterion should be provided for free as a government service.
Mike, it should be like PBS. You're 100%.
If we had a country that actually funded the arts and stuff instead of slashing all that to fund, the Defense Department and stuff. So that would be nice. But
we don't. But we do live in a country where we can watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and we think you should all do that.
Yes,
because
we live in a society.
I think
live in
you
a
should
pod
do that
society
because it's painless and it is good for you to watch this movie.
That's right. You will feel no love, but no hate. And, everything will be fine.
That's right.
So we've been your normies.
That's right.
Normies. Check us out at normies_like_us on all social media. Rate, review, subscribe. It is futile to not do that. It helps us out. And you will write in and say, help me, I'm normal. I don't want to be changed. And we will throw your letter in the trash because that's a ridiculous thing to think and say.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
right.
Do not press the like button with too much enthusiasm.
Yes.
All right.
Great
well, we've been your hosts,
episode, guys.
Spectacular. Yes, thank you. This is Pod Colin.
Pod Mike.
This is Pod Jacob. Do not resist.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody.
Wow.
You're next.
The podcast. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.